For RCR TV, I'm Sean Kinney, and welcome to HetNet Happenings, where we take a look at all things DAS, small cell, Wi-Fi, and much more.
CommScope, thinking beyond today's technology to help you make the best decision for your network and your business. Register today for the Wireless Infrastructure Show, the premier national event for mobile network solutions, produced for the industry, by the industry. Telecom Careers, the #1 global telecom and wireless job board, telecomcareers.com.
Welcome back to HetNet Happenings. I'm joined today by the guys from System 7. Started a company down in Corpus Christi, have recently moved into the Austin market. We've got Keith Gard, the founder and CEO of the company, and Matt Myers, you're the Director of Growth and Operations, right?
Correct.
So,
Yes, sir.
Keith, can you just give us a little background on yourself and on the company? Tell us what you do and when you started.
System 7 started in 2004 in Corpus Christi. I saw a need for better internet services in the Corpus Christi area, and I decided to drop out of college and quit the job and start the company. It brought us 10 years later to Austin, seeing the same need for internet and phone services and managed services as well.
Excellent. Matt, what's your role with the company?
I am Director of Growth and Operations, so my job is to make sure we sell and do business development, and then also processes and all the business operations.
All right, very good. So you guys provide a whole suite of communication services, internet, phone, and managed cloud services like firewalls, Wi-Fi, email, web hosting, that sort of thing.
Yep.
So let's start by talking about the internet end of things. What kind of services do you guys provide? I think you take it from end to end, right? You guys can do the cabling and design and all
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what differentiates us from the other providers, and we do network cabling, we do all the services and phone systems, but we focus on broadband for small to medium sized businesses, phone services and phone systems, of course, but just trying to be different and actually caring about the customers and really listening to their needs and fulfilling those needs and providing excellent support on top of that.
Yeah, we were talking before the cameras came on about Google Fiber and AT&T gigabit service and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's really a hot topic right now. You guys have been offering gigabit in Corpus for a couple years, right?
Yeah. We launched it a little over a year ago, and it's been fairly successful. It's funny, a lot of people they get told through marketing that they have to have this gigabit service, and I got on a mission to I'll play along, but then show people that you're really not even utilizing very much of it, but we launched it anyways, and it's had some success. But most people, to this day, are happy with even the smallest of broadband packages. It works just fine for them.
So, and you guys focus on small to medium enterprise customers, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
And so I know one of the deployments you guys did down in Corpus was for the Frost Bank building there.
Yeah.
Give us a little idea of the fieldwork perspective on that. What were some of the challenges to drop in all the equipment, and what, from your perspective, are the hallmarks of a really high quality broadband installation?
Well, I think that in the Frost Bank building down in Corpus, we actually deployed in that building in 2005. We didn't upgrade the building to our gigabit platform until last year. But some of the challenges was, a lot of the providers, a lot of the challenges that they have is getting the fiber into the building. And that's where we're different, where we don't necessarily do fiber every time. We try to focus on wireless, knowing that wireless really is the future of all communication services worldwide. And we brought in our gigabit wireless service. So we, from a field perspective, it was, a lot of rooftop work and, deploying the necessary infrastructure like the switches and, all that good stuff. And then just getting the cabling to the customers in the buildings. I mean, it's really the challenge that we have with every building that we hit. So.
Yeah, we were talking earlier too. I've sort of noticed that it hasn't really become a line item on a budget when you're building these big buildings? It seems like not a lot of builders or owners are taking into account the need to really, wire that thing for connectivity, and it becomes sort of an afterthought. I'm just kind of curious from a field perspective, and I know this is a huge gulf to cross, but what's the difference between installing concurrent with new construction opposed to retrofitting and having to go back and do everything?
Well, we kind of look over all that because we just install our own infrastructure. I mean, even if the building was wired already, for example, we're still going to run our own cabling and whatnot. And I think, depending on the services, most providers are going to do that because, to be honest with you, a lot of the infrastructure in these buildings is really outdated, and that's a challenge for providers that can't install their own infrastructure or don't have the ability to, and that have to use the old equipment. That's where you'll see some limitations with some of the DSL providers and whatnot because of that. But really, it's been quite successful, in using Ethernet and fiber inside the buildings and just using the wireless to get to it. So.
Yeah, and then this all results for the enterprise and the client in a dedicated private connection. From a consumer perspective, why do I want my own hardwired connection as opposed to sharing with other?
Well, I think that's because you want your bandwidth at all times of the day, right? If I'm uploading files, obviously I don't want to share with the dude on the Xbox 360 next door too, right? And so, but that it also goes for Wi-Fi as well as just our internet service or whatnot. A lot of people are sharing Wi-Fi connections even in office buildings or whatnot, and so I mean, privacy for one, and security, but really I just don't I don't want to share my bandwidth.
Okay, sure. And then I think that gives us a natural segue into another big part of y'all's business, which is these managed cloud services.
Yep.
Can you walk me through the different offerings that you have in that regard, and then maybe we can talk specifically?
Sure. Yeah. So we really sum it up into just a few offerings. Managed firewall or security is one of them, and where we'll deploy the firewall appliances, manage them for the customer, monitor and maintain. Also, the managed Wi-Fi is a very large one for us. A lot of providers have kind of stepped into this space, but they're not really pushing it, and really the need is there. We've seen it with school systems, with small businesses, with medium businesses, large businesses, retail especially. So managed Wi-Fi is a big one, and being able to have a seamless Wi-Fi network across the U.S. for, let's say, a retail outlet, nationwide, and managed by one company is huge.
And you accomplish that through the cloud, right? That we hear so much about. Then I feel like not many people fully understand what that is, myself included, perhaps. So maybe you can give us sort of a real user-friendly explanation of what the cloud is and why it's so helpful.
Sure. Yeah. Really, the cloud is just a company that owns a private infrastructure that they provide services from. With the managed Wi-Fi, we have a set of servers that work together to where these access points, the wireless access points that provide the wireless access to the clients, those all connect back to those central servers in our cloud,
right,
that we own and manage ourselves. And just a central point to get the data and provide the connectivity for the clients.
Okay, and in a use perspective, that means that if I'm a client of yours, I can tap into the cloud from anywhere. I don't need to be at some dedicated terminal. I can pull up any information from anywhere in the network.
Well, see, like with the managed Wi-Fi, the reason why this shines so much is because there's a lot of companies over the years that have been doing it the same way. It's a decentralized approach to Wi-Fi, to where if I'm a business owner and I have 6 locations across the country, and the old method would be I'd have wireless access points deployed in my offices, and every location would then be managed individually through some kind of tool, and it becomes cumbersome and not very efficient to do it that way. And so our managed Wi-Fi solution, we utilize AeroHive, by the way. It's a fantastic product. Allows us to centrally manage and configure and troubleshoot thousands and thousands of access points essentially.
So and I don't know a lot about the industry in terms of client relations like that, but if you're dealing with a small or medium enterprise, how much management does their Wi-Fi need? How much hands-on time, or is it just widely vary from use case to use case?
It does vary, and I mean, like we said earlier, school systems, they almost need daily management. Schools these days they're getting the funding to deploy tablets to, or Chromebooks. You've seen that, right? And they'll give them to every student, and those devices wirelessly connect to the network, and so having the right infrastructure is important. And even if you have an in-house IT crew that can help manage it, there's still a lot of back end, like the servers, the infrastructure, and everything that goes into it to maintain all this. But it's a daily thing for some organizations. But there's some people that you put up an access point and you don't hear from them for a couple of years, because there's just basic access. But it can get fairly complex depending on the devices and the needs of the client.
Okay, so does the Wi-Fi management, does that include dealing with the different user authentications as they're coming on and off the network, or is that something handled elsewhere?
I mean, you get to where there's authentication, different types of authentications or methods, troubleshooting that sometimes because the device isn't acting like it should or whatever. But
All right, and then with the managed firewall services, just explain firewalls to us and why you need them.
Well, first of all, you need a firewall to secure your location, prevent unauthorized attackers from getting in, and to route your private networks to the public network, but mostly there for security, not only from external sources, but like hackers and whatnot on the internet, but also from internal users that might be doing something they shouldn't be doing. But with our managed firewall services, it has been quite amazing since we deployed that early on, say around 2007 is when we got into that space. It's been amazing to see the differences between some of the lower end firewalls, kind of versus the business class firewalls that we deploy, and when we deploy them, and to see the types of traffic and the people it's keeping out and the things that it's doing is very amazing, and we recommend it to every single business out there to at least have a business class firewall.
Do those firewalls, do they need to be constantly reconfigured to keep up with the pace of the people that are trying to get through them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like with the access points, the managed Wi-Fi. There's some people that we deploy it and it does its thing, and we actively make sure it's doing its thing and keep it updated and monitor it. But they don't really have any requests to have any configuration changes or whatever. But there's some people we do it weekly for. So
weekly,
as their needs change, and as their infrastructure change, their networks change, they need to allow those services through or whatever. So.
All right, and then Matt, you're the growth guy. Sure. So, from the growth perspective, what sort of industry trends are you watching right now in the near term and in the long term?
So the biggest thing is bandwidth, right? Massive amounts of bandwidth. Even just a few years ago, people were getting along with a T1, 1.5 meg, and nowadays there's very few people that we talk to that can really afford to keep that low of bandwidth. So you're seeing, especially with the Google Fibers and the other players, especially here in Texas, where they're pushing really low cost bandwidth. So from a business perspective, the trends that you see on the planning side is that everybody's trying to figure out how to not just compete on price, but having some kind of sticky product that goes along with it. Some kind of managed service, something that differentiates yourself, or like in our, everybody's got access to the same technology. So, in our case, our tact is that we want to create amazing experiences for folks, because they can go and get bandwidth anywhere. We do believe that ours stays up more readily than other folks because it's in the air and it's easier to manage, and everything is carrier class and business class all the way throughout the network. But on top of that, we go out of our way just to make sure that it's an amazing experience for the customer every day. And I think that'll be what ultimately sets somebody apart when all is said and done.
So when you take those gigabit connections and then turn it into a Wi-Fi signal, do you lose the throughput to a appreciable extent, or how do you do that from an engineering
use the right equipment.
What is the right
Just
equipment?
carrier class equipment. I mean,
Okay.
wireless, over the years, in the beginning when I started the company and deployed wireless right away, people would hear wireless because it had such a bad name, back in 04 and through about 2010, and then really what helped us out, even though our product worked and we convinced people, and when we installed them, we give them, try it for 30 days and see what you think at your business, and they would get on it and just be like, wow, this is great. And they actually liked us, and that helped. But
It's hard to believe.
yeah. But around 2010 or so, the cell phone network started to get the 4G and the LTE and getting upgraded, and people gauged the perception of wireless from them using their cell phone or just anything wireless. And most of all, the wireless router at home that you had to reboot every day because it locked up. They kind of connected us to that, but it's gotten a lot better where wireless has matured and it's getting faster, and I think people are realizing as well that it is the future, and so getting the throughput out of this more mature wireless these days, we can push gigabit speeds and multi-gigabit speeds.
And it's really no different than physical connectivity as far as distance really will, lower your throughput just like on copper or fiber and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're restricted by the same physics and everything that the other mediums are, but
Dang it.
yeah. And if
now.
Right, exactly.
if that
Give us
changes,
a bit, yeah.
But no, it's the throughput's there, the latency. I mean, the response time on the network, with wireless is a lot of ways very comparable to fiber. People. Fiber is a big word and people know it, and if we've got fiber in the building, they rejoice. Well, it took 8 years to get that fiber there, and here's the deal. I mean, I can bring my services in, within 30 days, anywhere in Austin, and deliver the same speeds and the same reliability, but backed by awesome experiences.
Guys, I think that is a very natural place to pause. I do want to. I've took a look at y'all's website. It's excellent, very well designed, very user friendly. Can you put a plug in there real quick?
Shout out to Wannagoyo. They did our website, man. It was fantastic.
And what's the address?
System7.net, and then 7 is spelled out.
All right. Well, Keith, Matt, I really want to thank you guys for coming into the studio to hang out with us today for HetNet Happenings, and I really want to thank the folks at home for watching RCR TV.